Now let's look at linear time, time that only flows in one direction. There's a topic called the arrow of time, and it comes in a number of forms. There's the one familiar to all of us, the psychological arrow of time, the inevitability of the fact that time moves in one direction, the past can never be recaptured except through memory, and the future is unknown to us. There's also a physics version of the arrow of time, involving thermodynamics and increasing entropy that we'll discuss in a little bit. And there's a cosmological arrow of time, the fact that the universe had an origin in the Big Bang and has been expanding ever since to a future that involves lower density, lower temperature, and eventually the destruction of structure. These are three arrows of time that can be understood in different ways. But the arrow of time, of course, is a dominant part of human experience, and it's incontrovertible that time acts in a forward direction, and so is not a symmetric phenomenon. This also means that time travel is impossible. It's impossible within the laws of physics, and it's impossible in our understanding of it. If time travel were possible, then causality would be violated. Events could have causes that preceded them, or vice versa, and that would make the world quite a confusing place. Time travel is definitely tricky, as we can see.
How'd it go? Bad. Our historical figures are all locked up, and my dad won't let them out.
Can we get your dad's keys?
We could steal them, but he lost them 2 days ago.
If only we could go back in time to when he had them and steal them then.
Well, why can't we?
Because we don't got time.
We could do it after the report.
Ted, good thinking, dude. After the report, we'll time travel back to 2 days ago, steal your dad's keys, and leave them here.
Where?
I don't know. How about behind that sign? That way, when we get here now, they'll be waiting for us. See?
Whoa, yeah! So, after the report, we can't forget to do this, otherwise it won't happen. But it did happen. Hey, it was me who stole my dad's keys.
Exactly, Ted.
There's also time in physics. Over time, physical objects became less well-ordered or coherent. We can see this in the degradation of physical objects in our everyday lives as well, but it happens at a microscopic and molecular level. There's time in astrophysics. For example, when a massive star dies as a black hole and forms a compact object where the information is trapped within the event horizon, formally its entropy or disorder actually increases. And of course, we're familiar with time in biology, where biological systems tend to degrade, and of course living organisms all die as time passes, even if the cohort of organisms or the species may continue. There's also time in culture. In Western cultures, time tends to be arranged linearly, and tasks tend to be tackled sequentially. We're very goal-oriented. In some, but not all, Oriental cultures, there's quite a different arrangement of how to do your life and live your job and do your tasks, where there's a pool of tasks that's contemplated and approached flexibly and multiply, so it's not quite the same linear approach. It's an intriguing difference which people who move from the West to the East and vice versa experience quite strongly. We have the birth of linear time, coincident with the major world religions of Judaism and Christianity, and then Islam. Because in these religions, time is linear, not circular, as it is in the Buddhist and Hindu traditions. God is revealed through a story which has a beginning, a middle, and an ending. There's the creation, the fall, incarnation, redemption, and judgment. This is a classic biblical arc with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's not an accident, I think, that linear time in Judaism and Christianity and Islam and in the Western culture is commensurate with the linear time that science has evolved as a way of thinking about the universe. There's the idea in these religions, too, of apocalypse, both the end and a new beginning. It means to uncover or disclose. We tend to think of evangelical or apocalyptic religions of the modern era, but the idea of apocalypse actually dates back to the Persian prophet Zoroaster in the 14th century BC. Modern apocalyptic thought now pervades culture. The Left Behind series of books has sold, I think, over 100 million copies now, and has worked its way into movies, TV, and music, especially in the United States. The past and the future, however, have a scientific understanding, and here we have it described by Stephen Hawking.
Where does the difference between the past and the future come from? The laws of science do not distinguish between the past and the future. Yet, there is a big difference between the past and future in ordinary life. You may see a cup of tea fall off a table and break into pieces on the floor, but you will never see the cup gather itself back together and jump back on the table. The increase of disorder, or entropy, is what distinguishes the past from the future, giving a direction to time.
And that's the end of this topic.